Mike, bring it in here. Bring it in here. Woo! All right. Hey, you guys, we're talking about this 2019. It's a beast.
Ford Raptor, the Rap.
I'm going to introduce you guys to Mike. Now, here's the deal. Mike is Social Pants on YouTube. Now, if you watch his channel or you watch my channel, today you'll probably see something a little bit different from both of us. Here's why. Mike's my best friend. I've known Mike
12, 15, 100 years.
100 years, something like that, like since before we were old.
Yeah.
We worked at a company called Play First Developing Software, and then we worked at Electronic Arts together. I was a producer, which means that I went like this and said, I want things. And Mike was the planner, called the development director, that told me whether I could have it or not.
Yes.
Is that about right?
Yes, and if you could afford it.
And if I could afford it. He still does that today. And most of the time that's no. All right. Let's talk about this, Mike.
Yeah.
Certain decisions led up to the Ford Raptor. Tell us about your journey a little bit.
Yeah. So, I had a two-wheel drive truck. I did a video about this, and I got the bug because I hang around with you, and it's your fault. But, I started looking. I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something relatively quickly. So I looked at all sorts of different vehicles, Toyotas, Tacomas, those kind of things. And I had two really requirements. One, I wanted to get off-road really quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm a big dude, so I couldn't fit in a small truck, and I wanted to drive across the country, and I wanted to be pretty comfortable doing that in a certain way. So it led to the Raptor.
The Raptor.
Full-size truck. And a lot of people, when I started doing the research, a lot of people will build these trucks, any type of overland truck, slowly over time, which is not a bad option. Nothing wrong with that.
Been building my truck since 2010.
I made the collective choice to go ahead and spend all the money at once and get all the suspension and all the things right off the factory floor.
So let me tell you the real deal about Mike. So that's what he does. He's like, in this particular case, I made the decision. No, this is how he rolls, right? It is research, 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 research. You drove a Tacoma. We went out to the desert.
Yeah.
You were like, I'm doing this. Let's go out to the desert. So you borrowed a truck. We went out and you were like, this don't work. So lots of research, and then threw his wallet at it. You knew what you wanted. You were like, boom.
This is not always a suggested solution. Sometimes throwing money at a problem is a way to solve it.
Well, once you make a decision, though, you're like, okay, now let's get it done.
But the truth is, right? I could have bought, let's say I bought a full-size Tundra.
Yeah.
Right? $30,000, $40,000 vehicle. I'm going to put another $25,000 into that suspension to get this.
Right.
So by the time you do that, I'm at the Raptor price already.
Yep.
Just get it done.
Yep. So,
and it's under warranty.
So my first experience driving the Raptor was down in Baja, and it was the very first vehicle that I drove that had suspension settings that meant something.
Yeah.
So it really is, in terms of suspension travel, in terms of what it comes with off the factory floor. It really is an incredible truck with incredible capabilities. Hey, let's talk about some of the stuff, some of the widget-mawoozits.
Yeah.
You've researched a lot.
This bumper is clearly factory.
Hey, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something about Mike's process. A lot more efficient than mine. Plain and simple. I iterated on my truck. I broke stuff. I tried different things. I've tried every kind of suspension. It just took me a long time to iterate. Mike, you did your research and you had flipped a bit in your brain that said, I'm doing this. You did your research, and then your truck came together really quickly, and it's a really good build, you guys. I mean, talk about in-service time, like how long it takes to take down, how long it takes to put back together. It's a really good build.
Well, I appreciate that. I will also credit it to the Overland Bound community. Half the research was going through your forums, looking at the problems other people had and going, I don't want that problem.
Right.
So how do I solve that? Right?
Experts in the community.
Yeah. And so that was great. For instance, you're looking at a Warren bumper and winch for the front. Like, there's a lot of aftermarket Baja bumpers for this vehicle. This is a Baja truck. This is not an Overland truck, right? That's the first thing to remember.
Not rock crawly necessarily,
no,
right?
It'll do it, but
Yeah.
it's not designed to do that, right?
Right.
And so what I wanted was not just armor in the front, because this is a whole aluminum truck, right? You hit a tree with this, the fender's gone, like it's done, right? So solid steel, worn bumper. I wanted enough capacity to not just pull this heavy truck out, but, you know, help others. I think I've used it more on your truck than mine, but fair enough.
I'll cut that.
Heavy duty Uber shackles, you know, because they look good and like two front teeth.
Well, Kent, right? You got things under control, Kent?
Always.
I mean, was like...
Kent literally said, hey, get these.
Yeah.
And you know what I said? Okay. Like, I never even questioned it, right?
Right.
And of course, Baja design lights. I have ditch lights and these lights. Eventually, there is a Gobi rack coming for the top that I'll put lights across the top. But just these lights in general light up a football field at night. It's pretty unbelievable.
Better than your headlights, right?
Well,
I mean, just like lights. Yeah.
And these are pretty decent, like LED lights.
Yeah.
They're good, but like I specifically chose the orange for dust and snow visibility. You know, in terms of fog, cut right through that. Again, driving across the desert a lot that we've done, kicking up dust.
Yep.
Driving across the country, I expect to hit weather and fog and rain. And so...
You're leaving in a couple of weeks for cross country. You're going to be on the road for a while,
That's
right?
right. First stop, Denver. Or no, Loveland, Colorado for the expo there. So come out and see me.
All right. So this here is your CB antenna.
Ham radio.
Oh, you don't go with the... That was a little bit of trolling.
Now I have a CB inside also, but you know, for the most part, ham. This is a part of the security features. We can talk about that. I'm going to be off the grid, going across country, primarily by myself, not with a big group of people. So being able to have long range emergency communication is very important to me. So assuming I can hit a repeater, I can pretty much call you from anywhere in the United States or collective world for that matter. But
all right. Hey, so we've covered the bumper, your ham radio, anything with the suspension. It's just factory, correct?
It's factory right now. A couple things I did do. I mean, look, that's another thing, right? Sits low to the ground like a bulldog, but like this thing will absolutely crawl over some rocks. We've seen that. Insert painful video here.
I'm spotting Mike coming up this trail. I don't know if he's gonna make it. I think we're finally gonna get rid of those steps on the side of his truck. Driver.
Just like new. But as we talk about the back, I did change out and put a heavy duty leaf spring in the back.
Yep.
Come to find out, out of the factory, these things are rated for 1,200 pounds of payload capacity. That is on highway. So if you want to go to Home Depot and put 1,200 pounds of 2x4s in the back and haul it home to do some construction, no problem. You want to put 1,200 pounds of bricks and drive across 200 miles of the Mojave Road across Whipties? Not going to hold up. So off-road versus on-road is very important, as I found out. And so basically when I did that, the truck was just riding, you know, like a dog dragging his ass across the floor. So now she's got a proper pit bull stance.
Right, so what did you do in the springs on the back?
So I went over to our friend Frank at Top Shop Auto.
Yep.
I think the springs are
and he had a set of heavy-duty leaf springs off of a giant Ford box truck. So we cut those down and customized them and slid them in the middle, lifted the back end about 6 inches. Our calculations are I can now hold about 3,000 pounds of whatever the hell I want.
Not that you'd want to do that at 80, 90 miles an hour.
Not that I'd want to
down
do
the trail, but
if I did, I could do that.
All right, let's talk about what you got going on the back.
All right, let's go. All right, the back. Couple things to point out. Kent gives me hell about this all the time. Kent, this works. This is the Hitchcock.
Hey, I spotted. Go ahead, Mike. I won't interrupt. Go ahead.
That's right. Sterling's Wild West out of Utah makes this. They're out in Moab all the time. This is basically a rock slider for the ass of your Raptor. Very specifically designed for the Raptor because these exhausts will just become pancakes when you bottom out.
And it works. You and I were on the part of the Slick Rock Trail, and
which I had no business being on, but was anyway.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It did its job.
It did its job. My tailpipes are still wide open in factory. And then, of course, for garbage, I use the last U.S. bag company bag.
Good.
This thing's amazing.
Good.
You can look it up.
And I'm gonna say I'll recommend this bag because this is gonna last you a long time. Some of the other bags out there, they last you for one season. Then you got to put it in landfill. That's gonna last.
I've had the cheap Amazon bag. I won't even name it. I've had it.
Yeah.
It fell off after the first trip.
Yep.
I've had the famous bags that everybody uses. Great, little saggy, kind of like, you know, I'm not going to make that joke. It's a little saggy as we grow old like humans, but it grows old really fast. Anyway, on the tailgate, mountain hatch cutting board, basically. I don't really use this for cutting, but it levels out the surface because the factory tailgate has all these ridges in it, and I'm usually crawling in and out.
And now this is a great work surface.
Yeah, it's just a flat table now.
Yeah, great.
And then of course the deck system. This was the first thing I added to the truck, just because I needed space and storage, and so this was it.
These are great.
These are fantastic.
I mean, these are really nice.
These are fantastic, and so. You know, along with these cases, which are my closets and just handle everything, when I get to camp, I throw these cases out, I pull this out, I've got my chair, I've got my stove.
Boom,
I've
chair.
got all my stuff that I need here for food on this side, and that's it. I set it all up. Over here on this side, it's pretty empty right now, just because I've been getting ready for this trip. And so what's really over here is air compressor, tools, anything I need to, you know, fix the truck or deal with the truck. Both four-legged and two-legged security. Usually rides back here. And then of course the big Rome Adventure cases that have all of my cooking and stove in it. And then the other side over here is basically everything else. Toilet, paper products, general storage.
I mean, you guys can see, look, if it's easy to set up camp, you'll go more often.
Yes.
And, you know, like in a trip you're doing here, coming up in a couple of weeks, when you're rolling almost every day, setting up, taking down almost every day, you want it to be easy, right?
One of the best things that happened to me was right after I got the truck, we take off to the Mojave with you guys on a cleanup trip. And I figured out really quick that every 10 minutes setting up or taking down camp is a lifetime.
Yeah.
A lifetime.
Day after day, it's an hour in a week, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so for instance, so I've got, you know, axe and shovel. There's a shower on the side. I carry 8 gallons of water. I got my Max Track recovery. But there's video about this. Our good buddy Parnell has been helping me build this amazing system for my awning. Speaking of quick up and down, right? So literally I just pull a pin, pop this puppy up, and I can deploy my awning because I'm 6'5". And so it's setting at the normal height. It's right here in my head. So this has been really amazing.
On one of the first trips, you had this awning, which is great. It's a great awning. It's got Velcro around so you can hang walls down, which is great. On that trip, it took his hat off 3 times because he'd walk under there and boop, it'd take his hat off. It was way too short. So Parnell did a great job on that.
Yeah, so it's been fantastic. I won't deploy it, but you get it. It's the 180 degree 23.0, great quality product. And of course the roof nest tent on top that comes up and down really quickly.
Now, I'll mention just real quick about the in-service time. I do talk about this quite frequently because I haven't always been the best. And it's something that Corey and I iterate and improve on. We want to have the deploy of camp be super easy. It's a safety thing too. So it's fine if part of setting up camp is part of the vacation and part of the ritual, if you enjoy that sort of thing. However, there are multiple times I've been in this situation, and I know because Mike and I have been on the trail together, I know he's been in this situation where it's time to go right now. Somebody gets hurt, there's some kind of an emergency, you got to roll. And so, you know, if you're going to base camp for a long time and you're going to deploy everything, cool, right? Like, let's unfold, let's get our chairs, let's take the crates out. You can do that. But you want to have the ability to be loaded and gone pretty darn quick.
I have dropped at camp for the night, literally deployed the tent only, jet boil, mountain house. I'm camping, baby. Like, I'm done.
Chair.
Yeah, right there. And another piece of trivia that some people probably know but don't know, I'm usually the camera guy behind the camera. So I'm chasing this guy around the desert all the time.
Yeah.
I have to move quick because he doesn't slow down. He's like the Energizer Bunny.
All right, what else we got back here, Mike? You got water. Let's talk about your water supply.
Yeah, so 8 gallons of water. I got two I got two Rotopacks, 2 gallons each. That's 4. There's a 4-gallon basically shower there, compressed water. So that's awesome. So I carry about 8 gallons. I always carry extra drinking water in the front as well. There is a Dometic fridge in the back. We can take a look at that later, but that's mostly my drinking water. But this I use for showers, washing dishes, emergencies, putting out fires, because people will do that. They just leave it open. So always good to have that. I don't really carry gas. The Raptor has a 32-gallon gas tank. I get about 550 miles of range out of one fill up. So I usually do pretty well, unless I just make horrible calculations.
I'm the long pole there. I mean, anyway,
Michael stops twice, and I'll usually fill up the 3rd time.
Yeah, indeed. Everyone's going to ask, Cage.
Oh yeah. So talk about hard to get things.
Yes.
So I've seen, and this was the first lesson you taught me as well. First lesson. This is a solid steel custom steel cage from Bay Area Metal Fab. Thank you, Jerry, for the great work. There are hundreds, if not thousands now, of these bolt together, put on your Raptor, put on your cage. I've seen them. I've just seen videos in the last 2 weeks on this, new stuff coming on the market. For every bolt that you put in to something on an off-road truck, that's another fail point. That's not if, but when it's going to happen, right?
Absolutely.
And it just rattles apart. And if you don't believe me, just drive across the Mojave Road. Just drive. Yep. And you'll see it in action. And
so solid one piece.
Yeah.
Solid one piece, strong steel design. You guys, 2 things not to compromise on, and people are like, well, but what if I'm only this, and what if I'm only this? No, don't compromise. Your cage needs to be a one-piece design. If you guys have a modular rack, I don't care what highfalutin brand you're talking about. If it's modular, if it bolts together, and you use it, it's coming apart. The same thing with your sliders. If you guys got steps and you're like, oh, but I don't really rub the rock all that much, your sliders are coming off, right? You need, or your steps are coming off. You need sliders, like legit sliders, and that's something you've got on the back burner, right?
Well, yeah, so that's what back to this for a moment. It's probably less expensive than the bolt-on pieces that are on the market. Now, it'll take you 7 months to get it, which is the same problem I have with my sliders, right? So I have those coming, the rack. So there's still a rack going on the top of the truck with 2 more cases for just closet space, like sleeping bags and clothes as I go across the country. But hey, it may not be ready for 3 more months. I don't know. Like it is what it is. So that's part of the overland tax that we pay, not just the Raptor tax, which is a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, the Raptor tax, what Mike is referring to is that everything for this truck, because it's a high-end, high-performance vehicle.
It's not an F-150.
No bones about it. Yeah.
It's not an F-150.
So everything for the Raptor is more expensive than an F-150. So that's Raptor tax.
Some people ask me this question. They're like, why? Because it is the high-end F-150, technically, for Ford.
Yeah.
This is 6-inch wider than any other product on the market. It has the same wheelbase as the H1 Hummer. So the only F-150 thing about this is generally the interior.
Little point to trivia, those lights that are in the grill of Raptors, those orange marker lights, they're not there to make you look cool. They're there because by regulation, after a certain width, you have to have those marker lights in the center, which is the same reason why semi-trucks have those marker lights.
Almost a commercial truck.
Yeah, it's almost a commercial truck. That's right. All right, what else should we talk about, Mike?
That's about it on the outside. I mean, on the inside, I've got 2,200 watts of powered
Yep.
by Wagon Tech's
Yep.
new 1200 cubes.
Yep.
Running a Dometic 35 fridge. And then mostly just storage. All that's my storage up there, recovery gear, things like that, so I can easily get to it.
This thing impresses me every time we're on a trail. It's fun to see the drive characteristics of this versus my rig. So in certain situations, so rock crawling, certain situations, my rig is going to do better. But then there are certain situations that this vehicle, because of its width and its stance, this vehicle makes it just really easy. Where I'm kind of, you know,
We were
yeah.
in the sand in Mojave,
Yeah.
and once the beast gets its grip and is in desert mode,
Yeah.
I had to run around you like 3 times because it's not stopping. It's like, we've got this, I'm going, we're having fun now. So I put it in fun mode, and it is. But
Yeah.
then, yeah, on rocks, I'm like, Michael, wait for me, come
Yeah,
back.
yeah, it's just a different thing. But this rig just right off the factory line makes a lot of off-roading seem. It just chews up the trails. It does a really good job.
Yeah.
All right, what else should we talk about, Mike?
I think that's it.
All right.
Like, you know, I'm going across the country.
Yeah.
I'm doing a whole video series. So
Social Pants.
check me out on YouTube.
Yep.
And, you know,
Follow along. Yeah, follow along. It'll be your first major long-term trip, right?
Yeah.
What can people expect? What are you going to share with folks?
2.5 months through Yosemite, the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
Death Valley, Moab, Mount Zion
Yep.
National, whatever. Some dinosaur stuff, Denver, Colorado mountains, Kansas City missile silo.
Awesome.
We'll see. We'll figure that out. And then I don't know once I get that far. I haven't planned that far.
Good.
But
Good.
and then spend some time up and down the East Coast. I'll be in Virginia at Expo East. You know, see some family, and maybe be back home in November. I don't know yet.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Sounds like it's going to be a great trip.
We'll find out.
All right, you guys, go join him on Social Pants. Follow along. Till next time, outfit, explore, and Mike and I will both see you guys on the trail.